The new urban village, Tyler Village in Cleveland, Ohio. There's a lot of cool stuff going on around here. On today's episode of Real Cleveland, we are visiting with a company called Reclaimed Cleveland. They make furniture and products out of reclaimed wood from buildings that are getting demolished, areas that aren't being used anymore, perhaps old products from libraries and schools and churches. Deej Lincoln, you are the founder and the executive of Reclaim Cleveland. It's a piece of history, it's a sustainable company, it's really an amazing company that you've developed here. Tell me how you got started.
Thank you. We actually, Reclaim Cleveland was born from a commercial cabinetry shop called Interior Products, which has a 40-year history of doing corporate and commercial interiors. Their niche actually was library interiors. And about 2 or 3 years ago, we got into doing reclaimed material as a way to differentiate the company. We have a range of standard products that run from bottle openers to dining room tables. There's a lot of different stools and coffee tables and sort of middle-sized stuff. We've actually had a lot of growth with accessories and gift type items like clocks and mirrors and the like.
Excellent. So price range wise?
We have notebooks and bottle openers that run from $20 up to custom tables that are in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Something I've noticed that I find very appealing is that on the bottom of each piece, you actually have a stamp there that tells the individual where that piece of wood or where that material came from. What a fantastic idea that is.
Well, it ties it back to the community, which I think is great. And there's a lot of people that, that really has some significance to them, and especially in cases where we're using something from more of a landmark type building like a church or a factory where somebody can say, oh, my grandmother used to be a parishioner there, or my uncle actually worked in that factory. That's great. And actually we're now putting those stamps on the top of our product in the form of an inlaid puck, so then it's a little more visual.
It's an all-around wonderful thing. So if I walk into the Winking Lizard or Cedar Creek Grill or the Honorable Mayor Jackson's office, can I see that stamp on their wood as to where that piece came from at all, somewhere in there?
Actually, Winking Lizard is a good example where we actually designed signage that looks like a newspaper headline. Actually, not too dissimilar to this, but the material that we used for some of their locations was from the Chrysler stamping plant in Twinsburg. And so we made it look like the front page of a newspaper with, product or material from the stamping plant was saved and repurposed here.
What do we have here, Deej?
We are actually in our incoming and processing area. So we have wood that's coming in from different structures that's not denailed or cut yet. It's actually got the address. So this came from 1571 East 118th Street. From here, it'll go through a denailing process, which is over here, which we actually use pneumatic denailers to get the nails out. We also use magnets and metal detectors to make sure that the wood is nail-free, so that it can be processed on our next stop.
So this is where it all begins, and then where does it go from here?
From here, it'll actually go into inventory, where it's again stored based on the location and the species of what the wood is. And then when we have a job, we'll come pull up some inventory and get to work on it. So our next step, actually, this is material that's actually been pulled out of inventory. It still has the address for where it was harvested. This is actually oak flooring that's going to be turned into either a countertop or a tabletop. And from here, we'll move on to the actual assembly process.
And what's going on here with these canoe-like looking objects?
They're just kayaks that we modify to be book bins, and they're actually going to sit on these water-themed bookshelves, which is very indicative of a lot of the work we've done for a number of the county libraries. We start with larger and larger pieces of wood, and they end up getting pared down, and the scrap we actually try to use as well. So we've got candle holders, paper towel holders. This bottle opener actually is probably the most telling thing that we do. This is actually scrap from a tabletop or a countertop. It also happens to be our best-selling product.
So here we are in the next department of the finishing product. Tell me what's going on in here.
This is actually final assembly for some of our gift items. It's part of our finishing department, which actually is where we put, the stains and such on the product. It also happens to be a little bit of a lab. So things that I had mentioned before, like the bottle opener, sort of were born from, what are we doing with these leftover pieces? We also do a lot of custom work here. Like this right here is ultimately going to be a beer flight for samplers at Great Lakes Brewing Company.
Well, I let the wood dictate a lot of times what happens in a piece. Just the rough character of this reclaimed wood speaks a lot for itself. So I like leaving a lot of the nasty, kind of, not as nasty, but rough parts of it. As you can see in some of these are still waiting for a final coat. But then we also have some more fine looks with this smooth top here. And I like to blend the woods together as well. This is the yellow pine with oak and maple stripes in it. Over at Great Lakes Brewery, we made a bar top out of these Chrysler slabs, or we call them the Chrysler slabs. They're flooring slabs that came out of the Chrysler stamping plant in Twinsburg, and they're 3.5 inches thick of pecan and hickory. They're quite hefty, as we use them for a bar top and bench seating there. And then we used church pews for all the benches and cafe tables there as well.
ReclaimedCleveland.com. You've got to check out their website for more information or to set up an appointment if you are interested in their furniture and a little piece of history just for yourself. This is such a cool company and a really cool area here at Tyler Village. You've been watching Real Cleveland. If you'd like, check us out online at RealCleveland.com. I'm your host, Justine. Thank you so much for watching.